Alrighty, this is me at my fattest stage, 19 to 21%. Now, don't quote me on my exact body fat, but you see I got some titties. Shoo! Estrogen. I got some fat. I got kind of like the little box, but I got the love handles poking through a little bit. A lot of face fat. A lot of face fat. Not a good look, right? This is me at my most fat stage. I know I'm not too big compared to a lot of people, but this is an unhealthy fat range and it's not good for you. Your health will go down and your aesthetics are absolutely cooked, right? And eventually I got out of this phase. I wasn't in it too long, maybe like 4 or 5 months in this chubby little phase. Happened because I was injured, okay? I was injured from playing baseball and I just, I started slacking. A lot of junk food. I was bulking, but you know how it go. So then eventually I got to like the 15 to 16% fat phase, 15 to 16% body fat, and this is where I stayed for like 3, 4 years. I stayed in this range, okay, 14 to 16% body fat to be exact. As you can see my chest muscle is starting to pop a little bit, right? But my abs are not popping. I got the love handle still, and I got like a 4 pack, okay, a weak 4 pack. I got the little box, no 6 pack, right? This is where I stayed at for years, okay? And then I got lean, this is leaner than most people, right? But, body fat affects everybody differently. And whenever I get body fat, my abs and my face are just cooked, right? They're absolutely cooked. This is not my potential. Most like if people get to 14, 16%, they'll look pretty good, okay? You look better than most people, right? I look better than most people at this stage, but nowhere near aesthetic or my potential, right? So yeah, I got the box again, a little 4 pack, a little bit less body fat, but not popping, right? Then eventually I broke through my fat loss plateau, butchered that spelling, right? But yeah, broke through and got to about 12%, which is where I'm at right now. I'm trying to get to 10% by August 31st. Right now it's July 31st. I will be there in about 4 weeks. Goal is about 150 pounds, all right? But yeah, as you can see, my veins are starting to pop, right? Shoulders popping out. Chest is getting nice and full and popping, and then my abs, we're finally getting a little 6 pack, right? Boom. These bottom two aren't like popping, but you see them, right? You see them. Love handles are going away a lot. Ab veins. All the good stuff. And I was an aesthetic apex predator now, you feel me? So, let's go into the strategies. So what happens when you finally break through your fat loss plateau? You go from looking like these little lads right here, and you go to looking like this lad right here. Much better, gets more huzz. Feels way better. Jawline's busting, right? Your jawline starts popping, and you let the mogging begin. You could start mogging your friends, okay? This is my jawline at like the 14 to 16% body fat range, right? Not the best angle, whatever. Maybe I'm mewing a little bit right here, but this is me now. Jawline is starting to pop, okay? Feels way better. Aesthetics are way better, okay? Your energy's way better. I don't care what anybody says. Your libido, does it crash? No, it hasn't affected me at all. I mean, maybe it's when you get really, really lean, but I see people get my leanness and say their libido's crashing. No. You're just probably eating a terrible diet, bro. Probably just eating a terrible diet. Alright, I promise you, you'll feel way better at this stage right here than you do right here, okay? It's a lot of drawing, a lot of circles, alright? Okay. Alright, so why do people plateau ya? Alright. Big reason is we're tired of all the little things like calorie counting and calorie deficits. Reasonable, right? Because calorie deficits are literally catabolic and can affect your hormones a little bit. All right, but you got to realize your body fat gets consumed, so it's not terrible for you until you get super lean. The biggest reason from personal experience is not tracking. This is the reason why I stalled for so long is because I was not tracking my calories. I know a lot of people hate this, but you quite literally need to track your calories, right? So what tools can we use to break through these fat loss plateaus? We got calorie tracking apps like Chronometer, MyFitnessPal, whatever, but Chronometer is the one I use. It looks like this. Okay, it looks like this bad boy. Your calories be up here, your macronutrients right here, and then your micronutrients, right? And you can scan your foods or whatever. Cool. Then we have a scale. Get you a little weight scale, okay? And weigh your food because you can finally accurately see exactly how much is going in. If you just scan the barcode and don't know exactly how many grams, you won't know how many calories you're eating, right? So get a scale. Those are the two biggest things. And then you also need some brain cells, okay? Fat loss is very common sense. Just be in a calorie deficit and learn how to use your brain on how to do this stuff. Do some research, right? Another reason people plateau is because they are scared to become lighter. As you cut, you will be surprised by how much fat you really have. You have a lot more fat because you're just fat as hell. You feel me? You have a lot more fat than you expect, right? More fat than you think. You will weigh less than expected. See, when I started my little fat loss cut, I was about 168. 168, and now I'm about 155. I lost 13 pounds in about 3 months. You know, the first month or so, you're gonna lose a lot of like water weight from the carbs and stuff. You're not eating as much, so it's not like fat in the beginning. But as you start going down a little bit, the fat goes. And when you're cutting, make sure you're losing slowly. Okay, if you lose too fast, you'll burn into your muscle, and that is no bueno. Okay, you don't want to burn into that. And these little things right here can do the trick alone, but I will show you exactly what strategies I use to get through these fat loss plateaus. So let's get right into that. Alright, this is not health advice, okay? Not health advice, but we are gonna abuse caffeine. We are trying to get to sick cunt status. Alright? Now the FDA only recommends what, like 400 milligrams a day? And you know, I think that's a good amount, right? But are they trying to get sick cunt? I don't know. But I am, okay? These are common sources of caffeine. You got coffees that y'all may like, teas, sodas. Do not drink freaking soda on a cut though, you stupid. Energy drinks, which is what I take. I abuse these bad boys. Not good? No. Does the job? Yes. Don't follow my advice, okay? But I've been drinking about 400 or 500 milligrams of caffeine a day. And it's really helping blunt my hunger and really speeding up my metabolism. So it's a tool in the toolbox. Do you have to use it? No. But if you want to, yes. Same with fasting, okay? I use fasting because, 24-hour fasts, I think they're very beneficial, not just for fat loss, but for health, okay? You have to do this correct, though, because if you do it wrong, you will lose muscle. You will lose muscle. And what I said, that's no bueno, okay? No bueno. Quick example of an intermittent fast, okay? I do this sometimes, most days actually, but sometimes I want to eat breakfast and I do, okay? It's not, you don't have to be strict, but, 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. It would look like eating between 1 to 9 p.m. Mine's usually 12 to 8, but you don't have to use this tool. I just use it sometimes. Intermittent fasting is very good at controlling your hunger and cravings, okay? It helps you with, what? Restricting your calories, which is what we need to do to lose fat. Alright. Then we also have refeeds. We have days where we just eat a little bit more. Maybe we're eating at maintenance instead of a deficit or slightly above maintenance, okay? Just helps with your mental stability and stuff, right? Then we have a week of eating at maintenance. Say if you've been cutting for like 5-6 weeks in a row, and you're feeling pretty tired, pretty depleted. Have a week of eating at maintenance, okay? Eat at maintenance for a week. Make sure you're not gaining any weight, but just stay at maintenance. Calories, and it'll help you get back right on track and go straight into the deficit again. Another trick I do is water before every single meal. Why do I do this? Well, I do this because not only is it good for you, but it helps your stomach feel full. You'll eat less calories because your stomach is full of water, liquid, right? 0-calorie water. And we can also avoid liquid calories. No smoothies, no oils. Avoid the freaking oils. Okay, no oils, no smoothies, no sodas, right? Those are if you have those in your diet, you're basically cooking yourself when it comes to cutting. Then most of y'all also need a mindset change. Whenever I went through my cut, I realized that my mindset was not right. My mindset was, I can eat whatever I want. No, even when you're freaking eating in general, you should not eat what you want. But you cannot eat whatever you want, especially on a cut. You gotta limit yourself to eating out maybe like once a week. Because when you eat out, it will cook you. I mean, the meals when you eat out are like anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 calories, and you'll be cooked for the day. Like, let's say if I do go out to eat, let's say they say it's 1,000 calories or whatever, right? Well, I'll overestimate by about 300 calories. I'll say it's 1,300 to make sure I'm in a calorie deficit still. But the more you eat out, the less accurate your calorie counting will be, so avoid eating out more than 2 times a week. Another thing we do is eat voluminous foods, like these bad boys. Leafy greens. Be honest, I don't even eat too much vegetables, but whatever. I eat a lot of fruit though, and fruit is low calorie generally. And maybe you can eat some of these bad boys right here. Whoa, I don't think I've ever had that. Then we got moderate foods right here, And then these are the foods you want to avoid: candies, oils, butters, nuts. You do want to avoid nuts when you're in a cut. Okay, but you can still keep them in your diet. Just count it, okay? You can keep everything in your diet as long as you count and stay below. But avoid these if you want easier cutting, okay? The oils will really cook you. Candies and junk food will cook you if you cannot control yourself. If you're somebody that cannot control themselves, do not have this in your house. Okay? Do not have this in your house. That's basically all my strategies. So if you want help on how to cut, on how to bulk, on how to whatever, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever, achieving your goal physique, I'll show you what workouts to do, how often to do them, how many, what split, what foods to eat, how much volume, intensity, and frequency, all of the above, suited to your needs. Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced? I'll show you exactly what to do. Step-by-step guide on building an aesthetic physique with my little how to build an aesthetic physique course in the description, okay? I really appreciate y'all watching this video. Let me know if y'all want any other type of videos, which y'all would like. Okay? Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace. Peace.